In Lesson 7.1, Multiplying Monomials, you will first identify monomials and then simplify expressions with monomials. So what is a monomial? It's a number, a variable, or the product of a number and one or more variables with non-negative integer exponents. It has only one term. What is not a monomial? An expression that has division by a variable or an expression with addition or subtraction is not a monomial. You may want to pause the video and try to sort these expressions into the two boxes. Monomials would be these. Now this one is not a monomial, as well as this one because they have addition or subtraction in them. And this one is not a monomial because it has division by a variable. This one was okay because it wasn't by a variable. In example 2, we're going to talk about product of powers. N to the third power times n to the fourth power. If we break that down, n to the third means n times n times n. And n to the fourth power is n times n times n times n. And if we go and multiply those two things together, we end up with n to the seventh power. Now in our next example, this really means 5 times x times x times x times x times x times x times 2 times x times x. Now, due to the commutative property, we can rearrange this and multiply the 5 and the 2 together first. 5 times 2 is 10. And then all of these x's multiplied together, that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 x's multiplied together, so x to the 8th power. Now, what do you notice about these two examples? When you multiply two powers that have the same base, you add the exponent. Since these were both with the base n, we added 3 plus 4 to get 7. And since these both had a base of x, we added 6 plus 2 together to get 8. You may want to pause the video and try the next couple on your own. We're going to go ahead and multiply the coefficients together first. 6 times 2 is 12. And then n to the third times n to the seventh. That's a total of 10 n's being multiplied together. So it's n to the 10th power. Now in our next example, we're going to go ahead and multiply the coefficients together first. Negative 4 times negative 6 is positive 24. Now we're going to go ahead and multiply the r's together. R times r to the 5th. A common mistake kids sometimes make with this is to say r to the 5th, but this r right here is really r to the first power. I only have one r there, and I have 5 r's here being multiplied together, so we are going to make this r to the 6th power because it's 1 plus 5, which is 6. Now when we move on to the x's, we have x squared times x squared. That's a total of 4 x's being multiplied together. And then we move on to the y's. Y to the third times y. Don't forget to put a 1 on that so you don't forget about it. We have 3 here and 1 here for a total of 4 y's being multiplied together. Now we're going to move on into even more rules, and tomorrow we'll talk about some more rules, and the rules will start getting jumbled up and maybe confused. So what you'll want to do on a quiz or test is to stop and think about what the problem actually means and then rediscover the rules if you forget. All right, our next example is n squared to the 4th power. Well, n squared to the 4th power means n squared times n squared times n squared times n squared because I have 4 n squareds being multiplied together. Now you could go and break this down even further and do n squared times, or n times 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 n, which is really n to the 8th power. In our next example, we have r to the 4th times r to the 4th times r to the 4th. Again, you could break this down into 4 separate r's being multiplied together, and 4 more, and 4 more, for a total of 12 r's being multiplied together, so r to the 12th power. What do you notice? Well, to find the power of a power, you want to multiply the exponents. 2 times 4 is 8, and 4 times 3 is 12. You may want to pause the video and try this next one on your own. 2 to the 3rd to the 2nd to the 4th. We're first going to go ahead and you could think of this as 2 times 2 times 2, and then you could take that answer, multiply it by itself, and then do that 4 more times. Or since it's a power to a power, we are going to go ahead and multiply the exponents. So this is going to be 2 to the 3 times 2 times 4 power. 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 4 is 24. So that's how you can rewrite that particular problem. Now the last thing we're going to do is the power of a product. It says express the area of the circle as a monomial. Well, the area of a circle is pi r squared. So we're going to go ahead and say the area is equal to pi times the radius squared. And the radius is from the center of the circle to the outside. So 2x y squared, that's the radius, and then we're going to take that whole thing and square it. Well, you could at this point say the area is equal to pi times 2xy squared times 2xy squared. And then based on what we've already talked about, we're going to go ahead and multiply the coefficients. 2 times 2 is 4. And then x times x is going to be x squared. Remember, these are like having ones on them. And then y squared times y squared, that's a total of 4 y's being multiplied together, or you add the exponents. And then multiply that also by pi. So that's one way to actually go ahead and work it out. Or you can think of it this way. This 2 needs to be applied to everything inside of the parentheses. So it's going to be 2 to the 2nd power. 2 to the 2nd power is 2 times 2, which is 4. And then x to the 2nd power. X to the 2nd power is x squared. And then y squared to the 2nd power. A power to a power, you multiply the exponents. 2 times 2 is 4. And then that answer times pi. So it's going to be that many square units. All right, one more example to try. You may want to pause this and try it on your own. If we are going to take this all to the third power, I need to apply this third power to everything inside of here. So negative 2 to the third power means negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, which is going to be negative 8. And then I have to apply the third power to the y. So y to the third power. And then it's z squared to the third power, or 3z squareds being multiplied together. Z squared times z squared times z squared is z to the sixth. Or you use the rule, you multiply the exponents together when you take a power to a power. So 2 times 3 is 6.